The first question says Lee has $20. A box of cereal costs $2.29. Work out the maximum number of boxes of cereal that Lee can buy. So whenever we have like the same metric units and they're asking us to find the number of something, we divide those. So number of boxes would be 20 divided by 2.29, and that will give us 8.7. So maximum number of boxes would be 8. We don't round up, we round to the number that shows us the number of boxes. Now, they can't be like 8.7 boxes, so the maximum number of boxes we're getting is 8, not 9. Then it says each box of cereal has mass 615 grams. Work out the total mass of 5 boxes of cereal, giving your answer in kilograms. So 1 kg equals to 1000 grams, which means 1 gram would equal to 1 over 1000 kgs. So firstly, we divide 615 by 1000 to convert it in kilograms and then times it by 5 because they want us to find the mass for 5 boxes. So that is going to give us 3.075 kilograms. Then it says the box of cereal is a cuboid. The cuboid measures 25 centimeters by 20 by 5 centimeters. Work out the volume. So volume is going to be length times width times height, which will equal to 2500 centimeter cube. Then a cereal bar is in a box. The box is a cuboid measuring 6 by 3 by 1 centimeters. On the 1 centimeter square grid, complete a net of the cuboid. One face has been drawn for you. So it's 6 by 3. So they've drawn the top. So now we can draw the side length, which is 6 by 1. Then we have again 6 by 3. Another 6 by 1. The side lengths are 3 by 1. So this is your net of the cuboid. The cereal contains fat, protein, carbohydrate, and fiber. The pie chart shows information about the masses of fat and protein. Work out the percentage of the mass of the cereal that is fat. So we're going to do 36 over 360 times 100 because the sum of angles for a circle is 360. So out of 360, 36 degrees is fat. And since it says percentage, so we multiply the fraction by 100, and that equals to 10%. Then it says 60% of the mass of the cereal is carbohydrate. Complete the pie chart. So if it's 60%, so we find 60% of 360, which equals to 216. So we draw an angle of 216 on the pie chart. So that's approximately going to be around this. So this will be your carbohydrate. Obviously, you will draw it accurately with your compass and all. But as an estimate, this would be your carbohydrate section. Then it says work out the mass of protein in 30 grams of the cereal. So for protein, first you would measure the angle. Whatever the angle of protein is, you will divide that angle by 360 and then times it by 30. So in 30 grams of cereal, we have whatever answer we get from this, that gives us the mass of protein in the 30 grams of cereal. So for the angle, you would measure the angle from the pie chart, plug this in this formula, and then solve it. Question 2 says write the number 845024 inwards. So that's basically 845,000 and 24. Then it says write these numbers in order starting with the smallest. So when it comes to comparing these numbers, it's ideal to convert them into the same format. Either convert them into fractions, decimals, or percentages. I prefer decimals. So 7/18 as a decimal is going to be 0.38 recurring. 39% is 0.39. 15/40 is going to be 0.375 and 0.388 is already given as a decimal. So now if we look at this, the smallest over here is clearly 0.375, which is 15/40. Then we have 0.388, which is your already decimal form. After that, we have 0.38 recurring, which is 7/18. And lastly, the 39%. Remember to write the values that are in the question, not the ones that you found after converting them in the same format, because then you won't get full marks. So always write the values in the question, not these ones. Then it says find the value of 4 to the power 5. So 4 to the power 5 is basically the same as 4 being multiplied 5 times, not 4 being added 5 times, which is a very common mistake that kids still make. So that's basically 1024. Anything to the power of 0 is 1, whether it's a fraction, whether it's a negative number, whatever it is, or a decimal. If it's power to the 0, it's 1. 16 is a square number. 4 times 4 is 16. So square root of 16 is 4. And since 49 is also a square number, 7 squared is 49. So square root of 49 is 7. So this gives us 28. Then it says solve 6x plus 5 equals 29. So first we move 5 to the other side. So 29 minus 5, which is 24. So x would be 24 divided by 6, which is equal to 4. If you're someone who's still confused about solving, linear equations, but whether there's one step or multi-step, remember you're trying to isolate the variable. So when you're trying to isolate the variable, we need to move everything else to the other side. So when you move 5 to the other side, positive 5 becomes negative 5. It changes its function. If it's being added, it gets subtracted. If it's being multiplied, it gets divided. So first, when you move 5, it becomes minus 5. That gives us 24. Now, since 6 is being multiplied to x, when you move it to the other side, it divides 24, not multiply by 24. So 24 divided by 6 gives us 4, and that's the answer. Then it says by writing each number in the calculation correct to one significant figure, find an estimate for the value of this. So 2.7 correct to one significant figure is 3. 42.4 is 40, not 42. 42 is correct to two significant figures. They want one significant figure. So 42.4 correct to one significant figure is 40. 8.6 is 9. And 4.3 is 4. So 3 times 40 is 120. 9 minus 4 is 5. 120 divided by 5 equals to 24. That's the answer. Then it says 3 to the power 5 times 3 to the power of x equals to 3 to the power of 20. Find the value of x. So whenever we have similar bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So on the left side, we're going to do 5 plus x in the power. And now since the bases are equal on both sides, we can put the powers equal to each other. So 5 plus x equals to 20. X equals to 20 minus 5, which is 15. Then it says simplify x to the power 4 whole power cube. So for this, it's like another rule of indices. Whenever there's a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, you multiply the powers. So that's x to the power of 12. If similar bases are being multiplied, like in part F, you add the powers. If similar bases are being divided, you subtract the powers. And if there's a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, the power outside the bracket gets multiplied with the power inside bracket. Then it says a boat to town A leaves a port every 16 minutes. A boat to town B leaves the same port every 34 minutes. Both boats leave the port at 7:30. Work out the next time both boats leave the port together. This question is for lowest common multiple. So we have to find the lowest common multiple of 16 and 34. 16 and 34 both come in the 2 times table. 2 8s are 16 and 2 17s are 34. Now 8 and 17 are not in the same times table. So 8 divided by 8 is 1 and 17 divided by 17 is 1. So the lowest common multiple is 2 times 8 times 17, which is equal to 272. So this is now in minutes. So if we convert the minutes into hours, we know that 240 comes in the 6 times table. And if we subtract 240 from 272, that gives us 32. 240 minutes is the same as 4 hours because 1 hour has 60 minutes. So if we multiply 4 with 60, that gives us 240 minutes. So the next time both boats leave together is going to be 7:30 plus 4:32, 4 hours and 32 minutes. And that is 12:02. That's the time. And that's your answer. Question 3 says a wedding invitation is in the shape of a rectangle. Draw the lines of symmetry on this rectangle. So a rectangle has one vertical line and one horizontal line as the line of symmetry. Then it says there are 98 adults and 56 children at the wedding. Find the fraction of people who are children, giving your answer in its simplest form. So 56 divided by the sum of 98 and 56, because we need to find the fraction for children from the total amount. So that is equal to 56 over 154, which simplifies to 8 over 22 if we divide both by 7, and then divide both by 4, and then divide both by 2, which is 4 over 11. That is the fully simplified answer. Then part C says the wedding meal starts at 13:15 and lasts for 2 hours and 50 minutes. Find the time the meal ends. So if we add 2 hours to 13:15, that's 15:15. Now, if we add 45 minutes to 15, that's going to give us 16. And then plus 5 minutes. So that's 16:05. That is the time at which the meal ends. Then it says the probability it will rain at the wedding is 0.12. Find the probability that it will not rain. So for this, we subtract 0.12 from 1, which gives us 0.88. Now, the reason why I'm subtracting this from 1 is because the probability of anything happening at that day, like all of the probabilities, that adds up to 1. So we're discussing Either it will rain or not rain. So two things can happen based on the scenario that we have. So if the probability of it raining is 0.12, so everything else is the probability of it not raining. Hence 1 minus 0.12, 0.88. Then it says these are the ages of the staff at the wedding. Complete the stem and leaf diagram. So for the 10s, we have 16 and two 17s. For the 20s, we have 24, 5, 8, and 9. For the 30s, we have 31, 33, and 39. And for 40s, we have 40 and 48. And they're asking us to find the range. Range is maximum value minus minimum value. Maximum value is 48. This one. And minimum value is 16. So 48 minus 16 is 32. That is your range. You write the complete number. You don't just write the tens or just the units, the entire number. Question 4 says n equals to 15, r plus 20, c. Find the value of r when n equals to 118, c equals to 3. So n equals to 180 equals to 15, r plus 20 times 3. 180 equals to 15, r plus 60. 180 minus 60 equals to 15r. 80 minus 60 equals to 120, which equals to 15r. And then 120 divided by 15, and that gives us 8. Factorize completely. So we see whether there's like a highest common factor between 20p squared q and 5p. As we can see, we have 5p common. So we'll have 4pq minus 1 inside the bracket. We can't further factorize this, so this is our final answer. Then apples cost 35 cents each and bananas cost 14 cents each. Write down an expression for the total cost in cents of x apples and y bananas. So 35 times x plus 14 times y. This is the total cost in cents for the apples and bananas. Solve the simultaneous equations. You must show all your working. So for this, we're going to use the elimination method, because if we use the substitution method, we're going to get fractions, and then the entire equation is going to be quite complicated and time consuming. So pick the variable you want to eliminate. I want to eliminate x over here. So to eliminate x, I need to make sure that the coefficient of x is the same in both the equations. So in the first equation, the coefficient of x is 8, and the second equation, the coefficient of x is 5. So to make them equal, I'm going to multiply the first equation by 5 and the second equation by 8. All of the terms will get multiplied by 5 and 8. So first one becomes 40x plus 15y equals to 295. And the second equation becomes 40x plus 56y equals to 664. Now, when it comes to understanding how we will eliminate x, first step was to make the coefficients equal for both, which we've done. Now we need to see what are the signs for x in both the equations. Since x is positive in the first and the second equation, so for us to eliminate it, we need to subtract both the equations. If the signs were, let's say, both negative, we would subtract the equation as well because minus and minus does not cancel out. Minus and positive does. And if the signs were opposite, let's say it was plus minus, then you add the equations. So like just remember this rule if you're like confused about like remembering how to solve simultaneous equations. Once you've made the coefficients equal in the elimination method, if the variable that you want to eliminate has the same sign, then you subtract the equations. If the variable you want to eliminate has opposite signs, then you add the equations. So 40x minus 40x is 0. 15y minus 56y is equal to negative 41y. And 295 minus 664 is negative 369. Y equals to negative 369 divided by negative 41. And y equals to 9. Then we substitute this back into either of the equations, whether the new ones or the old ones. You'll get the same answer. So if I pick the first one, 8x plus 3, y equals to 59. Substitute y equals to 9. So 8x plus 3 times 9 equals to 59. 8x equals to 59 minus 27, which is equal to 32. And x equals to 4. So that is your answer. Next question says, Kurt owns some toy cars of different colors. The pictogram shows the number of each color. So we have red, yellow, green, blue, white, and other. So according to the key, one complete like square with 4 squares inside equals to 8 cars, which means one small square equals to 2 cars. It says write on the color of toy car that Kurt owns most. So most of would be blue because it has the greatest number of squares. Then it says find the number of yellow toy cars that Kurt owns. So for yellow, we can see that this is one complete 8, another complete 8, and this is a 2. So that's 18 in total. Then the next part says that find how many more red toy cars than white toy cars Kurt owns. So for red and white, we can see that for white it's 2, 2, so that's 4. For red, it's 1, 8, another 8, and another 8. So that's 24. So the difference of 24 and 4 is the answer, which is 20. So he owns 20 more red cars. Part B says a toy car costs $12.40 in the USA and $11.50 in Spain. The exchange rate is €1 equals to $1.12. Calculate the difference in the cost of the toy car in euros. So we have to find the difference in euros. So convert 12.40 in euros. So if €1 equals to $1.12, so then $1 would equal to 1 over 1.12 euros. So then we do 12.40 divided by 1.12, and that gives us the value in euros, which is 11.07. I find the difference. So for the difference, 11.50 minus 11.07, and that is equal to 0.43 euros. That's the answer. Then part C says, Leo owns some toy vehicles. He owns 57 cars, 12 bicycles, and 42 trucks. Find the ratio of the number of cars, bicycles, trucks, in its simplest form. So 57 ratio 12 ratio 42. All three are divisible by 3. So if we divide it by 3, 57 divided by 3 is 19. 12 by 3 is 4, and 42 divided by 3 is 14. So 19 is to 4 is to 14 is the simplest form for this ratio. We can't further simplify it because all three don't come in the same times table. Part D says Leo keeps his toy vehicles on a shelf. The shelf is in the shape of a right angle triangle. The area of the shelf is 0.3 meters square. Find the value of phi. So for the area of a triangle, the formula is 1 over 2 times the base times height. And the height is always the perpendicular height, not the slant height. This is your height in this case, and this is your base. So they've given us the area, so 0.7, 0.3 equal to 1 over 2 times y times 0.75, which means y equals to 0.3 times 2, which is 0.6, divided by 0.75, and that gives us the value of 0.8 meters. That's y. Then it says this shelf is 1.35 meters from the floor. Change 1.35 meters into centimeters. So if 1 meter equals to 100 centimeters, 1.35 will be times by 100, which is equal to 135 centimeters. That is the answer. Question 6 says, diagram shows a plan of Zach's garden. Find the perimeter of the garden. So for the perimeter, we need to add all of the lengths of like the shape, which includes this, 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 and this. So something I'll just noticed recently, like some students are still confused between like perimeter and area. So perimeter is like the sum of all the lengths, so like the boundary of the shape, that is the perimeter. And area is the space that the shape covers. So everything inside the shape, that's the area. But the boundary of the shape, that's the perimeter. So keeping that in mind, we need to find the missing lengths. So if this length is 8 and the entire is 15, this one is 15 minus 8, and that would equal to 7. Then if this is 11 and this is 6, so this is 11 minus 6, which is 5. So the perimeter is going to be the sum of 11, 15, 6, 7, 5, and 8, which equals to 52 meters. And be careful about the unit, even though they've given the unit in this case, but like the perimeter doesn't have a unit of square or cube. Volume is cube, area is square, perimeter is just like the, meter or centimeter on its own. Then part B says Zach records the temperature in his garden each night for 1 week. Which night was the coldest? Now, obviously, the lowest temperature, which means the highest negative value, is the coldest, which is -5. So that's Thursday. Then find the difference in temperature between Friday night and Saturday night. So Friday and Saturday. So that's going to be 3 minus -4. That would equal to 7 degrees Celsius. Part C says Zach buys pea plants, bean plants, and sunflower plants in the ratio Peas is to beans is to sunflower, 7 is to 5 is to 2. He buys 45 bean plants. Show that the total number of plants he buys is 126. So if the bean plants are 45, ratio is 7 is to 5 is to 2. This is pea, this is beans, this is sunflower. So return 5 into 45, we are timesing it by 9, which means we're going to do the same with the other numbers too. 2 times 9, 18. 7 times 9, 63. So total will be 63 plus 45 plus 18. And that is going to give us 126, which is what the question was asking us to prove. Party says Zach has a water barrel on Monday. The barrel contains 120 liters of water. On Friday, the barrel contains 43.2 liters of water. Calculate the percentage decrease of the water in the barrel. So for percentage decrease, we're going to do 43.2 minus 120 divided by 120 times 100. New value minus the old value divided by the old value, and then times the fraction by 100. And that gives us negative 64%. Now the negative sign shows that it's a decrease. So we just write 64. We don't write the negative because they've already said that it's percentage decrease. But remember, when you want to distinguish between percentage increase or decrease, if the final percentage is coming out as negative, that means there's a decrease. If it's coming out positive, that means it's an increase. Then E says, Zach drives to a shop. The journey takes one whole number 104 hours. He drives at an average speed of 57 kilometers per hour. Calculate the distance. Now, average speed has the formula of distance over time. So average speed is 57 kilometers per hour. Distance is what we're trying to find. And time is one whole number 104. So the 104 can be rewritten as 1.25 because it's 0.25. So distance is 57 times 1.25, and that gives us 71.25 kilometers. Part F says Zach pays $69.80 to hire a machine. Calculate the number of days he hires it for. So the machine hire charges are, first day it's going to be $22.60. Then each additional day it's going to be 11.80. So 22.60 first day plus 11.80 times x being the additional days. And this entire thing equals to 69.80 because that's what he paid. So now we do 11.80x equals to 69.8 minus 22.6, which equals to 47.2. Then x would be 47.2 divided by 11.8, and that equals to 4. So the number of days he's hiring the machine for is 5. Why? Because first day is this. So 1 plus 4, 5. This was a trick question. Like, so if you don't give the answer as 5, then obviously you're going to get 2 marks. They'll deduct 1 mark. But like, remember, first day, you already paid for it. So that's 22.6 for that. X is the value of additional days. So total number of days is 1 plus 4, which is 5. Question 7 says, write down the mathematical name for the solid, which is a cylinder. Then measure the size of the angle x. So for this, you'll use a protractor and measure the value of x. It's quite simple. It's going to be somewhere, it's an obtuse angle, so like more than 90 degrees. And what is the mathematical name for this type of angle? As I said, obtuse. Any angle that's greater than 90 is obtuse. If it's less than 90, that's acute. And if it's more than 180, that's reflex. Then it says points A, B, and C lie on the circle center O. AB is 11 centimeters and BC is 5 centimeters. Give a geometrical reason why ACB is 90 degrees. The reason why it's 90 degrees because the angle is coming out of the diameter. And angles in a semicircle also equal to 90 degrees. So either of these is correct. Angles in a semicircle equal to 90 degrees. Which is one of the circle theorem properties. Then it says calculate the circumference. So circumference has the formula of 2 pi r. Your radius was the diameter divided by 2, which is 11 over 2, and that is 5.5. So 2 pi times 5.5, and that gives us 34.56 centimeters. Then it says show that AC is 9.8 centimeters, correct to two significant figures. So the triangle was ACB, where AB is 11 and CB was 5. So since ACB was a 90-degree angle, so we can use Pythagoras to find the third length. Hypotenuse square equals to opposite square plus the adjacent square. So 121 equals to 25 plus AC square. 125 minus 25. Then we square root that to find AC, and that gives us a value of 9.8 centimeters for AC, which is correct to two significant figures. Part D says the surface area of a sphere is 250 centimeters square. Calculate the radius of the sphere. So they've given us the formula, just 4 pi r square. 250 equals to 4 pi r square. 250 divided by 4 pi. And then we square root. And then we square root both sides. And that will give us 4.46 centimeter as the radius. Question 8 says complete the table of values for y equals to 4x minus x squared. So we have to find the missing values of y for x equals to 4 and x equals to 6. At x equals to 4, what you should get is 0, because 4 times 4 minus 4 squared is 0. And then at x equals to 6, 4 times 6 minus 6 squared, that's 24 minus 36, and that's negative 12. Next, they're asking us to draw the graph on the grid with the values of x between -1 and 6. So what we will do over here is that we're going to plot the points. Okay, let's start the sketching. So -1 and -5. 0, 0, 1, 3. -1, -5, 0, 0, then 1, 3. So These questions should be bad because I don't know about you guys, but I'm going blind making these graphs. 1, 3, 2, 4. Then 3, 3. Four, 0, 5, -5. And 6, -12. Okay, so time to remove these lines. Oops. Okay. That's a graph. Let's use a graph to solve the equation 4x minus x squared equals to 1. So which means if you look at the original equation, they have replaced y with 1. So that means we'll draw a line at y equals to 1. This is our line. At y equals to 1, we have these 2 points. Approximately 0.3. And I think 3.7. I think. This is what I'm getting. Yeah, that's within the range. Then they're asking us, okay, then we don't need this graph. The line L is shown on the grid. Find the equation of line L. So for line L, slope-intercept form is y equals to mx plus c. C being the y-intercept and m being the slope. So based on the graph, our y-intercept is -1, c is -1, and slope is basically rise over run. So our rise over run is if we pick this and this, our rise is 3 and run is 2. So that's 3 over 2. So y equals to 3 over 2x minus 1. That is a graph. That is our equation of the graph. Question 9 says shapes A, B, and C are shown on the grid. Write on the mathematical name of shape A. It's a trapezium. That's a trapezium. Then describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. Shape A onto shape B is the clear case of enlargement. Scale factor, if we compare the length, scale factor is 1 over 2. And it's positive because the shapes are on the same side. To find the center of enlargement, we can join the corresponding points and see where they're meeting. And that is this point. This is a center of enlargement. So center of enlargement is 2, 1. Scale factor is 0.5. Because if we compare two corresponding lengths, like for example, if we compare this and this, we can see that this is one whole square and this is half of it. So scale factor is 0.5 and it's positive because the shapes are on the same side. Enlargement by scale factor of 1/2 and center of enlargement is 2, 1. Then it says describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape C. So for shape A onto shape C, it's a clear case of translation because the size of the shape is same and so is the direction of the shape, and it's not a reflection because if it was a reflection, it would be like, symmetrical, like upside down, you know what I mean? So translation, we can pick corresponding points, these two. So if this one is 3, 4, this one is -4 and -1. So if we compare for the x1, for 3 to become -4, we are subtracting 7. And for 4 to become -1, we are subtracting 5. So to go from A to C, it's a translation by vector -7 and -5. That's the answer. Part D says draw the image of shape A after rotation 90 degrees clockwise, center 0, 0. 90-degree clockwise, that means it's going to be in this direction, and center is 0, 0. So if we pick this point is 3, 3. So over here, it's also going to be 3, 3. This point is 3, 4. So now it's going to be 4, 3. Like the horizontal and vertical distances swap basically. Then this point is 4, 4. So that's 4, 4. This is 5, 3. So it becomes 3, 5. You swap the vertical and the horizontal distances to make the rotation. So this is your rotation 90 degrees in the clockwise direction about the center 0, 0. Then draw the image of the shape A after reflection of the line x equals to 1. This is your line x equals to 1. So now the points need to be equidistant from this line. So if this is 2 units, 2 units, this is 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is your reflection of the shape.